they started with Web 1.0, which was what they call a read-only web. And that was back from 1989. It first started and ran until 2005. And one thing I just wanted to mention is, like Web 1.0 or 2.0, it's not like an actual specific thing or an organization or anything like that. What it's referring to is more of a collective term that describes a certain time period and an era of technology and companies that were existing at that time in this space. So when I refer to Web 1.0 or 2.0, it's really just referring to the period of time and the technology and innovations that were taking place. So we had Web 1.0, which was a read-only web. So back in '89, it was actually invented by a person I think it was CERN, CERN is where it first was created. And so the internet was just a place that would connect people with information. It was not an interactive thing, and content was just for consumption only. So you can find what you're looking for. It was just text-based, like 99% was text-based web. But this led to the creation of web browsers, search engines, and shopping carts. Some of the notable companies to come out of that period were Yahoo and Internet Explorer and eBay. Also, Amazon and Google were created around that time as well. So that was also the period where the dot-com bubble burst happened. It was the very beginning of the internet. And you can see here, like the chart of the dot-com bubble burst, right? The NASDAQ peaks and then it, boom, just falls right off. And you can see like the user interface was so basic and, it was really like, very basic. So that was Web 1. And then from there was Web 2, which was now like a read and you can write as well. And it also was known as the social web. And we are currently in Web 2.0 right now. And from back in 2004, the internet evolved to be able to connect people with people. Users can become interactive participants. And not only can you consume content, but you can share it now. So companies like Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, and nowadays TikTok, you can create and consume and share content with people. It's also been the era of big data and targeted advertising. You can, as you interact with the various companies, right? And since they're all centralized companies, they can collect all this data and sell it to advertising companies, create targeted advertising. I don't know if this is true, but Facebook's like data collection is so good that after like 5 or 10 clicks, then they will know you better than your friends do. And after like 10 or 20 clicks, something like that, then they'll know you better than your own family. And something like after 50 or 100 clicks, they will know you better than you know yourself. So this technology really changed the way that businesses operate, that we view advertising and marketing and even interaction with each other. It was also the era of user accounts being created and self-publishing platforms like WordPress. However, it was also the beginning where we can express ourselves online and start to form like networks with people. However, it was also the time where online stalking became possible, and the dark side of more things like on the dark side, like doxing. And if you don't know what doxing is, it's where all of your private information gets posted publicly on the internet, like everything, like social security, like all the stuff that you want to keep private, it gets posted. So it's very terrible. And of course, the threat of misinformation, right? I'm sure you guys remember the fake news thing. This was Web 2.0. So it was a tremendous leap forward in web, right, technology. But there's still many, many holes, right? Such as security and, data protection and privacy. All these issues still remain. So now we are currently on the cusp of Web 3.0. And this is the era where you can read, write, and execute as well. So the nickname for it is the semantic web. And semantic means it's the attempt to try and connect data to more data on the internet. So right now, data is it's everywhere, but it's not interconnected with each other. Now there's the attempt to kind of connect data to data. And we're still deep into its infancy, even in 2022. But now we have this new technology called blockchain, where, through the use of mining and verification, and of course, we can have things like cryptocurrency, the reward system. It's allowing the decentralized web to exist, right? Well, the web has always been, I guess, unregulated and in a way decentralized. Like there's no governing authority. But now even the companies that exist in the web are also becoming decentralized. So because each of us now is also like an individual like server, we're sort of like individual nodes in this this blockchain network. What's happening is now the infrastructures and the various applications that are taking place, everything is community driven now. It's moving towards a community driven environment. And so we're seeing things like decentralized applications, right? dApps, and decentralized organizations. Remember the DAOs. So some of the, I guess, frontier companies that are doing this are Decentraland on the Ethereum blockchain, also Aave and MakerDAO. And we're seeing now new technologies like physical technologies that are allowing us to interact with the new web in a much more immersive way, such as virtual reality and augmented reality. We're able to blend the virtual digital world and the real world. And because of the blockchain technology, because of the decentralized nature of it and the distributed nature of it, because everything is transparent and can be seen and inspected, everything is private and anonymous, but everything is transparent. Now we are experiencing data sovereignty. So we are the owners. We can become the owners of data. And also it's a privacy first system because security is being built into the system itself. And so we are also seeing, with the use of smart contracts, and I like to call it fingerprinting, we'll be able to see now the technology to create non-fungible tokens, non-fungibility on the internet. So this is now letting us enjoy one of the most groundbreaking and quintessential aspects of Web3, which is ownership. So because of NFTs and smart contracts, we are now able to have internet ownership. And this concept of owning the internet is going to be, I think, one of the core elements of Web 3.0, and especially more and more, because before we had no ownership over our data, and we had no ownership over basic documents like PDF files, Word documents even, or any of the information that we put out there on the internet. Or if we play, like, let's say an online game or any platform, we never had any ownership of those assets, but now we do. And it's thanks almost entirely to this new way of certifying ownership, of digital ownership of assets. And so all these new aspects, right, of the blockchain technology are converging, where we're now able to create these digital worlds like Metaverse, called the Metaverse. And so because we can create avatars and join into this, Metaverse and interact, and now because we have ownership of our assets in the digital world, we can begin to see the formation of a virtual economy and virtual society even. But there are still obstacles. For instance, infrastructure, the lack of bandwidth, internet bandwidth, makes it very, very difficult for some of these projects to become scalable, right? Like we saw, Ethereum. Ethereum has extremely high gas prices, which, as we know now, are the price of transaction fees, extremely high because Ethereum is not scalable yet. But we're starting to see it in some of the newer renditions of the newer models of blockchain and crypto. So we're starting to see it, but the underlying infrastructure is still not quite there yet. So the technology has to catch up. And there's also the question of cybersecurity, because we are living in it's going to become a decentralized web. So who's going to protect us? Before we had centralized organizations that were they were taking our data, but in a way, they also had to comply with the government laws and regulations. And websites were also a little bit easier to put ownership on who is responsible in case of a crime. So if there's a bad website, a bad actor on a website, they are subject to the laws of that land. So if they're in the US or in Canada or even Nigeria, they have to follow the laws of that land wherever the server is hosting. So there is that question as well. And of course, the one that's most relevant to us is the question of tax regulations. So because it's like, you're decentralized, it's unclear which country's laws would apply, because as well, we are starting to see tax regulations come into play from the IRS and from the government, and it's happening very quickly. So we will probably see more and more tax regulations as well. in cryptocurrency as the government gets more and more interested. So you can see here the kind of everything is connecting, right? With this in this new decentralized web, and there's us. So this is kind of where we're at. The cryptocurrency, which was born from blockchain technology, and it's creating a new financial ecosystem and a new ways of doing business. So whether it's through typical websites, accepting cryptocurrency payments, or perhaps people are doing business in the metaverse, right? We're looking at an evolved level on society and finance. And so with transactions, there will be taxes to pay. And so that's where we will come in. We are going to hopefully, we're going to be the stewards of, both investors and businesses, and we're going to be big time experts. My hope is that with this lecture series that, we were all able to get some kind of better context with the work that we're doing, where Cointelli fits in. So you can see it's very, very important what we're doing, right? Because it's constantly changing. It's like a Wild West situation. So we need to kind of saddle up and do our best. This kind of is everything I wanted to chat about. So it's a little bit shorter than some of the other lectures, but we pretty much covered all the major topics. Does anybody have any questions on anything that we've covered? Not just today, but in any of the previous lectures? Anything that's not clear? I just talked a lot. But this pretty much covers the whole thing that we need to know right now. We have understanding of blockchain, of decentralized finance, the new technologies that are arising. There's all the major exchanges, and we learned about wallets. So we know how our customers are also, interacting with this new system. But this is kind of where it's at. This is the overall picture of where things are at right now. And it's fast changing and it's evolving rapidly. So, as new information comes out, as things change, I'll be constantly updating the knowledge, and maybe we'll do more lectures in the future as the information changes and comes out. But that's pretty much everything I've got. So this will kind of wrap things up, I think, the lecture and discussions for now. If anybody has any questions regarding any of this, I'd be happy to chat anytime. And so I just want to say, thank you all so much. Let's keep learning. All right, so that's everything for today. And if you have any questions, please leave a comment. Thank you.